welcome to Center Hice Productions. It is November 10th, 2023. Please hit the like and subscribe down below in your right-hand corner. It's muchly appreciated. I would really appreciate your support. Okay, this is to recap and review the game tonight. The Habs went into Detroit, muchly needing a victory, whereas they're going to be on a 4-game skid. And this was their easiest chance to get a victory with some of the games coming up over the weekend. Going to be a lot tougher for them to try to get a victory, so they really had to try to do so tonight. And it was a lot of line juggles that you could see tonight. There was definitely some line switches. It looked like they had broken up Suzuki and Caulfield. Anyway, I could not capture the lineups, but anyway, we are going to go to your stats first. Final shots on goal. This game went into overtime, a 3-2 victory for the Habs. Muchly needed. Good game, good solid game, a good performance after such a terrible performance with Tampa. So, Habs had 26 shots. Detroit had 29. So, first period we got a goal. Second period Detroit got a goal. We each got a goal in the third, and of course we got the overtime winner. Cayden Primeau started in this game, and I got to say, the second goal didn't look great on him, the first one was kind of. I didn't like what the players sitting there watching that were in front of them. No help at all, even though it was kind of a flop in the air. But the two players that were in front of the net just sat there and watched it. So not much help, even though I know it was a floater, which, yeah. And then, so both goals he probably could have stopped. But that one was a little trickier where he had teammates that did nothing. And of course, there was a guy right flat in front of him, kind of a bit into his face. So I'll give him I excuse him on that one a little more. So second one, not so much. That one you should have had. So anyway, that was the storyline there. But he had a good, solid game. This was nice to see. I was quite happy for him actually. So what we got is Cole Caulfield scores power play goal, 4:04 into overtime. Cayden Primeau stopped 27 shots for his first win of the season as the Montreal Canadiens beat the Detroit Red Wings 3-2 on Thursday night to snap a 4-game skid. Mike Matheson also rejuvenated tonight. A goal in on everything, a goal and 2 assists, and Nick Suzuki had a goal and an assist. So Nick's been rolling ever since he scored that goal the other night. He's been rolling. And so Montreal ended in 0-3 and 1 slide. Christian Fischer and JT Compher scored the goals for Detroit, and Comper's goal should definitely have not. Primeau needed to have that one. I'm sure he would have liked to have it back. Anyway, first start of the game. Of course, they always seem to give it to the game winner, which is Cole Caulfield. I almost think, yes, he got the goal, but I think a couple of players worked pretty hard tonight. And Compher was the second one. Second, and Nick Suzuki was the first star. Nick had a really superb game. Okay, so here's how the scoring summary starts. 7:02, Mike Matheson comes out and scores a beautiful pass from Alex Newhook. So this was to snap his droughted slump. And then Christian Fischer, assisted by Mikael Ramussen and Ben Sherratt. That was the tying goal, made it 1-1. Third period start, and that was at 16:44 of the second period. And in the third period, We're not long in. 26 seconds in, Nick Suzuki scores his 5th goal of the season, assisted by Mike Matheson and Sean Monahan. A power play goal. Nice to see a power play goal. Then this bad goal. Yes, I know Kasevich, or however you want to pronounce it, should have had him tied up. He kind of lost Comper on the boards coming out, but if Primo had just stuck to the post and stayed up, he would have stopped that puck easily. Again, this is the reoccurring nightmare that a lot of goaltenders are going to, and we're seeing it in the Habs goaltenders. It seems to be a bit of a habit. So it was he kind of had problems on that side a little bit, you could tell. So something he's going to have to work on. But however, he did have an excellent game. So I got to, so they tied it up. Nothing, a good solid third period. It took enough to go to overtime. And of course, Detroit, Reimer takes a really stupid penalty for Detroit, holding Caulfield so that Caulfield couldn't rejoin the play to help his teammates. Of course, you're going to get called. That's a veteran guy like Reimer should know better. So glad to see the refs call it, because it was ridiculous how long he held them. And Caulfield was trying to do everything to get released. Anyway, we get 4:16. It was getting pretty late into the overtime. Cole Caulfield gets one of his beautiful goals right over the shoulder. What a blast. Just a rocket. Assisted by Mike Matheson and Nick Suzuki on the power play. And Cole made a couple of quick moves instead of just shooting it immediately. So I think they thought it was going to rotate again. And again, this is why I say you switch it up a little bit in what you're doing. And you can catch a goalie happening. He just pinpointed that shot over the shoulder of Reimer. And Reimer had a pretty solid game as well. Very good game, really. To tell you the truth, this was very entertaining. I thought, because Detroit usually has our number, that this was going to be another defeat, and it would have been a real long stretch, because I don't know if we're going to win the next couple. So they had to win this game just to get on the right track and get something on this long stretch. Anyway, shots were 26-29 in favor of Detroit. Hits were 18-17 for Montreal. Face-offs 31-27 for Montreal. This was a good night for the power play for Montreal. 2 out of 5. This was a really good night for the power play. I can live with that. And 0 for 4 for Detroit. So, And penalty minutes, more discipline for the Habs. 10 minutes. And Detroit they were kind of undisciplined, 22 minutes. And giveaways won by Montreal. This was a really tightened up thing, which we needed. They had to cut down on the sloppiness, and this really takes light of the difference in this game. 1 giveaway, 10 by Detroit. Takeaways, 4 for Montreal, 2 for Detroit. Block shots, 14-13 in favor of the Habs. So, Jordan Harris took a penalty. Jeff Petrie took a penalty. Michael Pizzetta took a penalty. Lucas Raymond took a penalty. Second period, Josh Anderson took a penalty. Katie Gooley took a penalty. Jake Wallman took a penalty. Dylan Larkin took a penalty. Then in the third period, it was Morris Sider and Gallagher. They kind of got into a scuffle there in behind the net. I like Gallagher's grit. And Gallagher had played a half decent game again. He's been playing well. That old man line is really quite impressive, to tell you the truth. It's been something that's been consistent for us. But I think the moves made it look like they had Newhook on one side and Anderson on the other side of Suzuki. And Caulfield, I believe, was with Slav. And Dvorak, I believe. Or was it Monahan? Anyway, there was a bit of juggling going on there, and I wish I had the lineups, because they definitely switched the lineups for certain. And poor Anderson, he had so many chances in front of him. There was one he just missed the side wide open, and that's just how tight he's gripping the stick. Couldn't buy a goal right now, but he worked hard tonight, and he's going to cash in eventually. But I felt bad for him in that regard. Now, defensively, I didn't like some of his play as much as he had been playing, but he is busting his tush. So Reimer gets a penalty in overtime, and that cost Detroit the game. So well, thank you, James Reimer, muchly appreciated. Yeah, so that's the way that went. Then from that experience, like I say, the boys tightened it up. All the defense were playing much better, not so sloppy. Caden Gooley had a once again. His speed just blows my mind, even when he's caught out of position when he makes an offensive play. The amazing speed that kid has coming back to get back into position to pick up one of the guys on the rush is just amazing. Well, he's got great clean skating, smooth but fast, very quick. Jack I had it looked like he was having a good game. Kasevich looked like an all right game. Harris, okay. Barron, all right. So it looked like they juggled the lines a little bit here, where I believe it was Barron up with Matheson tonight, and it was Harris and Gooley returned together, and Kasevich and Jacky. And that's, why they don't leave Kasevich and Jacky alone anyway. I know that's a bit of a problem with uh, Savard not being there. However, Savard shouldn't be in a first pairing. I've always said that. If anything, just, if you had to move up the Kasevich, Jacky pairing to the second pairing or something, do something different. Uh, because it's evident that Matheson has his bad streaks. You can always put him down a little lower, take some of the pressure off him. But a good solid game. There's tons of rumors around. This is, if they're trying to sell a goaltender, this puts Primo, at least gets people looking at him now. This was I got to be honest. Yes, to me, second goal definitely he should have stopped. But however, he stopped a lot of shots. He played more solid than this is the best game I've seen him in Montreal myself, to be honest. He was pretty steady and solid. Yes, the goals weren't the strongest, but he got a lot of work for his first night in, and who God knew how this would turn out. But he did a good job. He did a very good job, and you could see the intensity. He was He looked like he had a determination. I haven't seen that look on him. So good job by him holding the Habs in the game. The Habs played very solid anyway, jumping onto leads, and they just kept fighting. They scratched and clawed and come back and won that game. They didn't waste too much time. It got scary at the end of when you're closing in and towards the end of the overtime, because get into a shootout, anything can happen, and then you get Detroit's got quite talented shooters, so I was a little concerned. So that Montreal ended it when they had to took advantage of the power play. Great job. So I got to commend the power play tonight. I've got to commend a big shape up by everybody and the pitching in, because it's the forwards pitching in too to help the defense, because it's the overall defensive game. It wasn't just defensemen that had the issue; it was the whole team, the whole offense. They're not helping the defensemen either. But this juggling and rotating the puck back behind the net and around when you're in trouble, just get the puck out of the net and use the boards. They play with it a little too much in their own end. This just reminded me of 2 years ago. So I hope they get out of that real quickly. Now a couple things we're going to discuss here is, and I just wanted to add to this video, is you see the defensive woes of the defensemen, and I don't know. I'll be honest. We know that Burroughs is not the answer on the power play. That's as a coach. But I have to be honest. Nothing against Same thing. He seems like a nice guy, but it's the same thing with Robitaille. I don't know if Robitaille is the answer of the coach for the defense. To be quite frank. I don't know if he's able to have the message. I mean, because you look at Montreal right now, they're identical. I mean, my prediction was they'd be 6 to 10 points better than last year, and right now they're right where they were last year. And I was talking to somebody who's same as myself, and we had a personal discussion on it. And I rolled down the road to have them on because they got good hockey knowledge, and we were discussing it. And there's some issues there that they don't the Habs don't look like. It seems like you can be the nice guy, but I don't know if Robitaille is second year. Is he getting the message through to that defense? It's got to improve. Because if they're not understanding him, then it's looking like he's not get somehow the communication is an issue. They're not getting it, and I know for Jack, he's the only guy that hasn't really played in a system format. So, yeah, it's going to take him a little longer than the rest of the guys that are used to it to adjust to it. So that's understandable. But it was good to see Jack settle down his discipline. He did a good job. He kept very calm and poised and played a better game that way. So good overall game. And then our next topic I wanted to mention, because I'm hearing a lot of talk. I do follow other networks like Marinero, Junkie, a couple of others. Some of them I don't even mention their name because they put so much BS out there that it's unbelievable just to catch a story with you. It's just to put a story out there and hope that people are going to follow. And it does seem to work, but I will not feed garbage out and lies that are just not truth. We know there are possibilities, rumors of this and that, but don't put it out there until it's actually announced by the Habs organization, especially when, oddly enough, your sources seem to be wrong quite a bit. So it's catch, it's a clickbait is all you got going, and I won't do that. But I want to thank you for joining me, and who do we have next? I wanted to talk about Slavkovsky. We know he's improved this year. Has he improved enough to be in Montreal? That's been my problem. I think he should be in Laval. A lot of critics think he should be, and it's not a knock against him. His game is improving, and I still say he should be in Laval. However, I understand their thinking, and this was just something I ran by this person I was in discussion with. From where I'm sitting here and seeing it, look at Laval. And I know the moment that Uhl was hired as coach of Laval, I haven't been impressed overall with the handling of the prospects. I don't see anything great development wise. I'm not that big of a fan. And I think with Slofkovsky, I think if the Habs management had, it's kind of a faith thing. It's kind of like if they believed that he would be developed properly in Laval, I think they would have sent him. I think they're very concerned that Uhl would not be able to develop Slav properly. And I think, to be honest, when I look at it from that angle, I kind of have to agree with them. Because I look at all the young prospects that are down in Laval right now, and I'm a little concerned because I don't like the way the team's looking, and I really wonder if Uhl is the best answer in developing these young players. I'm not convinced whatsoever. We seem to have areas in our organization where the coaching really has to change. There has to be an improvement. And I'm sorry, since Joel Bouchard, we even had an opportunity to get that man back into our organization. I think he took over for Utica not long ago. It would have been a great chance to get him back because whatever went on between him, it was between him and Bergevin. So I don't think the new administration, I'm sure they could have said, hey, Joel, welcome back. This is a totally different thing now. But he seems to have better ways with the youngsters. And I'll be quite honest, I think this is a vote of no confidence in Uhl, in Laval. That's why they don't want to send Slab down there, afraid that it would totally backfire. And I think under that explanation, he's safer under Martin. I know it's painful because he really needs the time and the touches down in Laval. But until we correct the coaching down in Laval and have somebody that we know is more of a sure thing and a good has a good track record of developing youngsters, we really have to have that solidified. And until you do, I think Montreal. I think I understand Hughes, Gordon, and St. Louis thinking of why they're holding on to Slab because they're concerned that Uhl is not going to develop them properly and say it's going to go wrong. And I honestly kind of see it because I see a lot going on in Laval this season with the youngsters. It just doesn't seem to be going right whatsoever. And to me, I think fans don't. I think that's really what we got to start thinking. I know none of us, we all wanted him to develop that. He's going to be fine. He's going to come along. It's just like Marty said. It's going to be how he gets there. He is coming along, but I just don't like this standing around looking lost momentarily here and there. And would like to see that adjust. And that's just his mind, I think, catching up to the game. But under those circumstances, I think I personally would like to see him with Monahan, and I've said that all along. We would have Newell on the opposite wing, and to me, Monahan would slow it down for him. That's just my thought process. And however, I still prefer him in Laval. I kind of am now a little more in favor of staying put until they get that corrected, because I am very concerned for some of the prospects we have down there. And this is the other thing we got to take a look at as Montreal Canadiens fans. Do you realize we get a lot of hype put into our forwards? Have you noticed something? The majority of them are a bunch of Smurfs that were drafted. I think the only difference in some of the, and even with Gordon and Hughes, they did the same thing as the Bergevin regime. They're still small players they drafted. However, when they drafted, looks like a little better talent. Um, but I honestly think we got a serious problem, and we're going to have to from here on in on the drafts and free agency really work on sizing up, because you look at that forward group down in Laval, our talent that we call talent, and there's too much hype given to it. Because to me, there's only 4 players I can see coming out of that group and making it on to the Habs team, and that would be, of course, between Heineman and Waugh. Those two, I see they're not big, but they're like around that 6 foot mark, and they're big enough, so they just pass. And then you get a little smaller with Owen Beck and Nishar. But I do think those 2 kids will make it too. Other than that, I'll be quite frank with you. Everybody else is too small. Mysek's too small. Um, Farrow's like I said, he reminded me of Charles Houdin. I still think Charles Houdin might have been a little bit, had an edge on him. I'll tell you right now, I think you can mark it down on your calendar that it was said here on Center Ice. To me, those will be the 4 players that come out of that group in Laval on the offense. I'm not talking about the defense. Defense is a different story. We're pretty solid, but we got to do something with the coaching down there, because it looks like everything is wrong, and that's why I have never been convinced since Uhl took over as the man in charge down there. So I think we got to work on that, and I think it's going to be, if we don't want guys like Watt and Heineman rooms, and then Beck and Nashar when they come. We don't want these guys ruined and their development affected. We're going to have to get somebody more capable in there. So, with that being said, mark my words. We, from here on in, though, have to go big. We have to size up and get away from this Smurf thing. It's enough. We got our Smaller guys, with the new hooks and the Caulfields, that's enough of small guys. And even Elonin is not big. Pinard, that might even be too many small guys. So we got to start getting totally working on that offense because our defense is fine. We don't need to touch that anymore. Draft, they should be totally focused on talented, big wingers. If they do that, I think we'll be all right. But we do have a serious issue because this team is full of still a lot of third line players. So let's be realistic. I mean, at best, Suzuki and Caulfield are a second line pairing. I'm sorry to say that. Uh, there's when you get a true number one, we don't have that. So right now they are in the number one role. But we got to after that it's all a bunch of pretty much third liners for the most part. So, and that being said, though, a lot of positive. Sean Monahan's line, just keeps rolling. Nice to see, and a good bounce back game. Who do we have next? I believe we go into Boston comes to Montreal on Friday, 11th. Is that no, Saturday. Saturday, and then we have Sunday the Canucks, and that's going to be two torturesome games. And I don't think we're coming out on top. So glad that we took this game from Detroit, and I wouldn't mind seeing us give Primo another game. Let's try to get one of these goaltenders uh, to get moved out of Montreal. So with that being said, I just want to put those extra points in there. That's why this was a little longer. I just responding to some of the stuff, being put out there, and I just kind of seen the different spins and why Slab may still be there, and he is improving, and he will be fine. I just think he'd be good in Laval if we had the right guy running Laval. I just don't think we have the right man in Laval. So thank you for joining me. Where's the puck drop first? Here at Center Hice. You've seen it. And the Habs pull out a great comeback. They scratched and clawed and took a 3-2 victory in overtime. Cole Caulfield getting the winning goal. Very nice to see. And Primo played a solid game. So thank you for joining me. We will catch you after the Boston game and review that game. Go Habs, go. Be excited. This was a great game. Thank you for joining me. God bless. Tell your friends. Hit the like, subscribes, and leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Just be respectful.